Nintendo's Kid Icarus Uprising might as well mark the start of a new franchise. While its NES predecessor, released over 25 years ago, focused on platforming and RPG-like elements, Uprising is a fast-paced, lighthearted action game featuring an insane amount of unlockable content and a very strong multiplayer component. Though it struggles in some significant ways, this latest game from Super Smash Bros. Creator Masahiro Sakurai is yet another great entry in the 3DS's relatively young library.
Prepare for defeat, Dark Lord Gao!
Uprising's story is simple and effective, and primarily plays out as missions are being executed. In short, the angelic Pit is sent out to take down the demonic Medusa, who is preparing to unleash her underworld forces upon the world, kill puppies, and rid the world of happiness in general. As Pit actively confronts the forces of evil, he will banter with allies and foes alike, not only commenting on what he's currently fighting, but the larger situation he finds himself in. The downside to this banter? The characters won't shut up.
It's true.
Though the voice acting here is generally commendable, the fact that no one will stop talking can often be distracting. Though its character models and environments aren't as detailed as something like Resident Evil Revelations, Kid Icarus Uprising's 3D effects and environments are still stunning. Purposefully brief in length, each level's design is drastically different from the last. You'll find yourself soaring over grassy hills one moment and plunging into the fiery depths of the underworld the next. This diversity helps the dozen-hour campaign feel vibrant, despite the fact that each level operates under a pretty strict gameplay formula of air, land, and boss components. The game's music also deserves a special mention. Uprising features some fantastic tracks, and some might rank amongst the best Nintendo has ever produced. Kid Icarus plays like two different games, an on-rails shooter for air combat and a third-person action game when Pit is on the ground. Most levels utilize both concepts, as Pit invades a certain territory and then lands to track down a particular object or opponent. The air sequences are by far the best portions of the game, calling to mind Nintendo's Star Fox series. The development team achieves a sense of speed and chaotic action that gives Uprising a unique, special feeling, even if intense action can slow down the frame rate. In addition to hundreds of achievements, unlockables, and a scalable difficulty to test even the most skilled player, Uprising also features a solid multiplayer component. There are two types of matches, both of which are pretty entertaining, particularly if you're willing to fill out any empty spots with AI opponents. However, multiplayer combat feels very different than the campaign, particularly when human opponents are involved. The campaign's enemies won't be trying to rapidly strafe and outmaneuver you, highlighting Uprising's biggest weakness, its controls. Whether on land or in the sky, the default controls use the circle pad for movement, the stylus for aiming, and one shoulder button for shooting. This scheme, regardless of any adjustments made in the options, works reasonably well in the air, and the game's emphasis on bite-sized chapter segments certainly helps. However, when on the ground, the stylus proves more challenging, as gripping the system with one hand is cumbersome. These sequences and the entire multiplayer component desperately need a dual-stick control option. Even with a myriad of custom configurations, it's baffling that Kid Icarus doesn't support the Circle Pad Pro. Despite these aggravating flaws, Uprising's core combat mechanics are still thrilling. It's worth fumbling with the settings, options, and positioning the 3DS, because the action and the adventure are so much fun. Uprising is the video game equivalent of an interactive roller coaster, one that doesn't let up until its credits roll.
Let's do this!
Kid Icarus Uprising is a flawed game. The controls could use some significant work, the action sometimes gets a little crowded, and the voice acting can get irritating.
Aw, you poor guy. You really need to make some friends.
Yet those flaws are outweighed by stunning graphics, music, combat mechanics, unlockable content, and much more. This game has so much content that you'll be playing it long after you've completed the campaign, particularly if the multiplayer component hooks you, which is likely. Kid Icarus isn't exactly a noteworthy Nintendo franchise, but after Uprising, it should be. This world and the type of adventure it contains should not be limited to one game. Here's hoping we see more from Pit and his demonic foes. For more on Kid Icarus Uprising, stay tuned to IGN.com.